Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends sitting on opposite sides of an Ottoman get together and do a crossword. I'm Rob Cole, sitting in London, England.
And I'm Theo Bosenket, also sitting in London, England. We are together.
We are together.
In the same space, breathing the same air.
Breathing the same air, listening to the same Shih Tzu brachycephalate.
And drinking the same Earl Grey tea. It's very civilised.
Highly.
Rob, it's lovely to welcome you back to London.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. And for once, we don't have to kick off by comparing weather situations because we are beneath the same clouds. So
we are. Although presently beneath the same beneficent rays of sun that are streaming into the living room as we record this.
Very true. It's a glorious spring day.
It is.
And you've had a cold dip in the Lido this morning, so...
I have. I reacquainted myself with my favourite love of South London, which is the Brockwell Lido. It was excellent. It was great trepidation before I tread one foot into the Lido that I wasn't up for the task because I haven't swum through the winter other than being in my alfresco wine barrel. But it was great. It was really nice.
Yeah, as previously discussed, cold water swimming is not my thing. But I do have great admiration for those who do and wish in some ways that I had that impulse, but I just don't. And I think I've probably now given up that I'll ever develop it. But
it's one of those things you get into it, although I have to admit, I think it's almost more of a female pursuit. Further proof of the fact that females have higher pain threshold than men is that today, I think there was one other guy in the pool when I was swimming and there were about 12 women. So
yeah,
they definitely have taken to it.
Yeah, my wife Kate would definitely. I could imagine her doing a kind of sea swim on a winter's morning, whereas I would be the one wrapped up in 5 layers on the beach with the thermos.
Yes, holding the towel for her when she came out.
Exactly. And yeah, we're going to do a little mini trip tomorrow, aren't we?
We are.
Head off and play some disc golf, which is one of our great passions.
It is. It's really how we got to know each other, was over the throwing of a disc.
Although in my case, it's a passion that has somewhat dwindled since you departed these shores, because I don't really have anyone to play with anymore. So I'm looking forward to reacquainting myself, and we're going to head to the Isle of Wight. So we may do a little recording from there on the way, but we'll see.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Theo doesn't play much disc golf, and I have to admit I play a lot of it, he regularly beats me. So there you go.
But, who's counting? Who's counting? This is much more about the company and the bonhomie, as you've previously said, of this podcast. So, yeah. Here we are.
Here we are, in front of said Ottoman and a crossword, number 16,834.
Okay.
Do we crack this one open and see if we can make some headway? Given, so. And this isn't to jinx us, but I think it's fun to jinx yourself anyway. We were 7-8, 7 wins, 8 losses through 15 episodes of Two Across. We did start this journey using the book version of the Collins Quick Crossword and judged it to be both too easy and non-interactive for us to continue with. And so we moved to the Guardian Crossword. And for those who are just catching up on us, we went through a really rough spell with the Guardian Crossword.
They were tough days.
They were tough days, but we've had a little run of late. And so this is the opportunity for us, having combined forces in the same room over aforementioned Ottoman, to actually come to level pegging today.
It's all to play for. I mean, what high stakes for this in-person special. It's very exciting.
It's almost as though it were planned.
Almost. I meant to say, incidentally, that something I always mean to comment on and have finally remembered to do so is our names definitely imply, I would say, to someone who knows nothing about us or the podcast, if they were to look at our names and think, one of these guys is sitting in Montreal, one of these guys is sitting in London, I would be the one, Theo Bosenket, that they would assume was Canadian.
Theo Bosenket.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And I do, I have Huguenot roots, so I do at one stage my ancestry was French, but I always think that's a nice little quirk that the guy with the holy English name is the one in Montreal and the guy with the holy Montrealian name is the one over here. But that is all but academic today because we are in the same place. And you obviously have very strong English roots with your mum being English, who you'll see on this trip.
I will indeed, although she also lives in Canada like myself, but she's over here and has a place down on the Kentish coast, which I'm very much looking forward to going down to visit and tipping a toe into those seas as well. So.
Yeah, and I've been there myself and it's glorious.
It is.
Dare I suggest maybe where your love of cold swimming comes from?
Oh, certainly. Summers spent swimming in the North Sea gives one a certain hardiness that swimming in the Mediterranean does not.
Yeah, there is no other form of swimming to be had on the British Isles besides cold water. So
not even in Torquay, the English Riviera, isn't that a bit warmer down there? Or
the wildebeest.
Yeah.
I grew up in Northumberland, so my experience was probably just that couple of degrees even more traumatic.
I would expect that it would be, yeah.
But having said that, on my recent trip, there were people out there windsurfing and doing that strange thing they do now where the surfboard seems to lift out of the sea. Hydrofoiling, that's the thing. Yeah, a lot of that going on. So, yeah.
The British, for all of their quirks and oddities, are a hardy people. I mean, I think that has been borne out more than a few times, seeing some of the mad things that British people will do.
Yes, we are famed for our eccentricities, but whether those are hardy or not, or just plain sort of insane, I don't know. Where is that? Where is that line? Right, I'm going to start the timer off.
Oh God, okay, we're in.
And we're diving in.
Okay, we're on your home turf, so I think you got to start us off.
Okay, I'm immediately ignoring one across because I can see it's an anagram, so we'll come to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the biggie. I'm going to go 3 down.
Oh God.
And it's a 5-8. And the clue is grilled. 5-8.
Grilled.
So obviously that could be grilling as in, cooking or...
But given that there's the dash, there is a dash between the 5 and the 8, which is actually written into the crossword. So you'd think it would be, something like pan-seared or char-broiled or...
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the first word has to be 5 letters long, and I don't know what that would be.
And it can't be...
Like oven roasted or...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's, again, not long enough.
I think we might need some letters in there.
Okay. But I feel that will come clear once we have a few letters.
There is another biggie on the board.
All right.
Which is the same length because it goes top to bottom. Mm-hmm. It's 5 down. Mm-hmm. It's 1 at the mercy of the latest trends. 7-6.
Ooh. Could I suggest, can I hazard a guess at this one?
Please, hazard away.
What about a fashion victim?
Oh, that's good. Because at the mercy...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And that fits.
Oh, Rob, that's lovely.
Fashion victim.
I was thinking about, influencers and that sort of thing, but I think I was in the wrong ballpark.
Well, let's test a few of those before we get ourselves too excited. We have 18 across, starting with I, if it's fashion victim, and it's push forward 5 letters.
Starting with I. Impel.
Yes. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Good. Okay, so for now, fashion victim is... But oh, shoot, you know what the problem is? 15 across would end in V. Or VED, as we said in a previous podcast. So what is that clue?
So...
Okay, 15 across, 9 letters, ending in V, and it's Glasnost leader. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine. Glasnost and Perestroika.
Oh, yes, of course.
The man with the... was it a Naked Gun where someone tried to wipe the spot off Gorbachev's head?
Yes, it was Leslie Nielsen.
It was Leslie Nielsen.
With his handkerchief. You're going to have to help me with the spelling of Gorbachev, because...
I think it's Gorbachev. I think it's Gorbachev, I believe. Or Gorby, as they used to call him in the 80s.
So there is an H in there.
I think there's an H.
Okay.
I think it's Gorbachev.
I'm very well. Look, we're gonna find out, aren't we? Hopefully
We're gonna find out, and hopefully we have a querulous moment in this one.
Oh, that's a nice throwback to the last episode, which was very Q heavy.
Oh my gosh, heavily. Maybe this will be Chev heavy.
We did not miss our cues. If
we did not.
Forgive me. So, see, normally you have a digital shield to these terrible lines.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I've gotten an AI to program me like a bad joke filter, and then it just feeds me another one so that I can laugh honestly.
I knew it. I had my suspicions that you were aided by technology.
The corny joke filter.
Very, very good Gorbachevian.
Thank you. Maybe I will do the rest of the podcast in Gorbachev voice. No, I will not do that.
Sort of Brosnan era.
Exactly.
Villain.
Where are the nuclear weapons?
I'm still traumatized by Robert Carlyle's character in Gold. What was it? The World Is Not Enough, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Where his character has a bullet lodged in his brain.
Yes.
So he feels no pain. Which
cut off my pain nerve.
Which definitely not a medical possibility.
Surprisingly, I can still control my limbs.
Yes, I'm still totally normal in every other
every other material aspect.
Right, moving swiftly on from the terrible Russian accents.
There's no more.
So, okay, I think this is a fairly low hanger. 17 down, pester. 6 letters beginning with H.
Does this word have 2 R's or 2 S's? That always messed me up.
Ooh.
Harris.
I think it's got to be 2 S's.
I think so too. But luckily, both of those S's intersect with another clue. So we're going to have the opportunity to
find out.
To find out exactly. And in fact, almost all of them, save the second letter, intersect with another clue. So for Harris, we'll be just fine.
So I think the first of those is, again, fairly straightforward, which is 22 across, old, 7 letters beginning with A, third letter T, which I think has to be antique.
Yep, that makes sense.
But then we hit a problem, or at least for me. 24 across. Have you ever heard of this word, Rob?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
It's
an estival.
It's a French word.
Oh, of course it is.
Estival, la saison estivale is the summer.
Brilliant.
So estival would be summery, I think. So it's Aestival for everyone, like the way aesthetic is sometimes spelt. That's a question. Aesthetic. I mean, is it always aesthetic, or because it seems like in some places, like America, it's esthic.
No, that's.
Or is that something else?
It could just be an Americanization of the, because it's Greek, I assume, aesthetic.
Yeah.
Aesthete.
Anything AE, like Aesop, for instance,
is
Greek.
Yeah. So I think that's just Americans being silly.
Okay. Fair enough.
So 20 down, sly.
And we can alienate America because it's a very small market.
Yeah, and we're a very long way away from it.
Yeah, we don't need it.
We can say what we like.
Yeah, exactly.
America's... Yeah. We're going to start a trade war, a linguistic trade war with the world's foremost superpower. Right, sly, 5 letters beginning with L, third letter E, final letter Y.
And this is, remind me which number?
20 down.
20 down.
This is to prove all of our sort of last 3...
Sly.
That was Zeus snoring, by the way, not one of us breaking wind.
No, we'll do that later. Sly. No. Because I think leery, but that's L-E-A, isn't it?
No, actually, it's L-W-R-Y.
But would that mean sly?
No, that's like you leer at somebody.
Yeah.
Which is more...
Isn't to be leery of something also to be wary of it? Is that not a synonym, or is that me just imagining that?
Possibly. I don't remember hearing it in that context, but it's possible. Let's come back to that. I think we put a pin in it.
Okay.
And let's try the other one we have 3 letters for, which is 19 down. Oh, this one does fit.
And we have a Q.
So it's 5 letters.
P space, Q space, E, and the clue is?
Hurt pride.
So, beak. They're liking the French stuff today.
They are. Maybe that's our theme.
It might be.
Worrying for me.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Oh.
Yeah, you should you should be able to handle that.
We'll muddle through.
Right, so let's rattle through a few more. Coarse laugh, 6 letters. This is 15 down. 6 letters beginning with G.
Yeah, I believe. Do you have one for that?
I mean, I would say a giggle.
It could be a giggle, but it could also be, because it's coarse, could be a guffaw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, guffaw. Giggle is more coquettish.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, it's not as.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Coarse.
Let's go guffaw.
No, actually, it could still be giggle, because 23 across is an anagram of Melissa, and either if it's an L if it's giggle, and it's an A if it's guffaw, and both of them happen to be in. Except I know what it is, so it's definitely guffaw. I was actually talking while I was trying to solve it, and hoping that while I was talking I'd be able to do it.
The anagram king.
Strikes again. So another anagram. That's 23 across. That's starting with the letter A, ending in the letter S, 7 letters long for Melissa, the girl's name, Melissa, which I believe is aimless.
Yes.
So I think we're okay.
Nicely done. There's another anagram.
Where's that?
Actually, no, there's not. Sorry. I was going to say 21 across, but that's not an anagram. It's just a single word clue.
And what is it?
And it's aficionado.
Right.
7 letters beginning with F, ending in R.
Oh my God.
So an aficionado is like a specialist.
Or a connoisseur. Or
a follower?
Oh, yes. Yes, because an aficionado of something.
Yeah.
Like...
Oh.
No, it doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit.
Shoot.
Ooh.
Damn it. Because they have that article, that magazine Cigar Aficionado, which you'll find in fine douchey establishments.
Yes, I'm an aficionado of cigars.
Some man in a cravat sitting on a leather wing chair.
Yeah. There's an establishment in Soho where you go and it's just called the Cigar Shop, I think. And I have been in before. And you get taken into this back room where they have these kind of safes with various famous names on them. And this is where these people store their, their cigars or something. But it's...
rolled between the thighs of the
quite
Cuban grandmother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it quite literally leaves a bad taste in the mouth. Because you just think, come on.
So could we improve the taste in our mouth of aficionado by getting 16 down and giving ourselves another letter?
Yes. Please.
So give a different label to, starting in R, and the second last letter is an M, and it's 6 letters long. So that's something.
So rename.
I think that's got to be rename.
Yeah.
Okay. So now our aficionado, 7 letters long, is F space N, 3 spaces, and then ending in R. See, this continues to annoy me, but it's got to be harass because...
No, it's definitely harass. I think this is just a slightly...
Oh, I got it. I think I know it.
Go on.
Could it be a fancier?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was thinking fanatic, but of course a fanatic is a bit further right on the distribution of...
Yeah. Fancier is a word that I associate indelibly with pigeons.
Ooh.
Like, as in a pigeon fancier.
See, that sounds like someone who's into bestiality.
It does. It does sound wrong.
and in a really wrong way, because there's a size mismatch there too.
Yeah. So today is the 200th anniversary of the death of Lord Byron.
Wow.
Which is all to say, I reckon he would have
fancied a
pigeon.
I
think he would have fancied pretty much anything that...
I read someone at the urging of a friend, because I just would never have picked this up. I was urged to read Mike Tyson's autobiography.
Ooh.
Which was actually pretty good. But when I was first recommended, I thought, oh God, how do I humor this friend with reading Mike Tyson's autobiography? But anyway, in the book, he spent an inordinate amount of time talking about his love of pigeon racing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Mike Tyson was apparently I think he grew up in the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken. And apparently at that point in the African-American community in the Bronx, pigeon racing was a done thing. It was a big thing. And I think even to like much into his career when he was rather wealthy, he still kept pigeons. He had his coop or whatever you call it.
Is it the Brando film On the Waterfront that features pigeons?
I've not seen
quite
it.
heavily. I think there's a scene, even a couple of scenes involving pigeons. Yeah, and that's set around the Bronx as well, I think.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's a Bronxy thing, and there's some sort of history to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's the title of Mike Tyson's autobiography? And does it have an ear?
Yes, it
reference?
It actually has like the piece
Over
of
ear.
ear. Yeah, over ear. Yes. It has the chunk of Evander Holyfield's ear actually photographed on the inside flap. No.
You had me there.
That would have been good.
It is a flap.
Yeah, it's called My Tastes. You know, I have a taste for pigeon rearing, racing. I have a taste for other boxers.
No, it's gonna be a single. I vaguely recall seeing this title somewhere. Again, that was Seuss, and it's something like it's a single word, isn't it? And
probably
fierce or
something like
mental
that. Yeah, mental. Mike Tyson is mental.
I don't think that's beyond dispute. Right, should we go for? Well, maybe we can have we've got a few letters now for this big grilled one, which we tried as our first get. We have some letters in the second word. As a reminder, the clue is grilled 5, 8, and the second word has a third letter of A, a fifth letter of I, and a seventh letter of E. But I'm not getting anything out of that, are you?
I'm getting squat for now. I think we need the first letter of the second word, and we could get it, which is 13 across, account of a word's development.
Oh, yeah.
9 across, and the middle letter is an O.
That's a word I actually used in the last episode because I was talking about my grandfather being an entomologist and confused the word with etymologist.
Yes.
Which is the study of words. So I think that's etymology.
Etymology. Okay, so that gives us an E to start our 8-letter word for grilled, or 5 letters, we don't have any letters, and then 8 letters is E space, A space, I space, E space. So I'm still not seeing it.
No. This is intriguing.
Yeah, one would imagine it would be end in ED.
I think we need to come back to that, don't we?
I think so.
So 14 down, I think, is a pretty straightforward one. That's observe steadily with intent. 4 letters beginning with G, ending in E.
Yep.
Gaze.
Gaze. Good.
Okay. Any others popping out at you, Rob?
Well, for those that obviously cannot see the crossword or don't have them open in front of them, we have largely tackled the bottom half of the crossword, save for the end of our grilled and this sly, L space, E space, Y. So now we're kind of heading into an area where we don't have a lot. So maybe we can try and find one where we at least have one letter. So
yeah.
We have, for instance, 6 down, town, and in brackets of sun-dried bricks. Could it be? Maybe not. I don't know, because obviously Adobe is a sort of a sun-dried brick, but that's not going to fit because it ends in O. Yeah. Could it be like Pueblo? I don't know if that has anything to do with sun-dried bricks.
No. I mean, it could be.
Yeah. Town.
Sounds Spanish, doesn't it? If it ends in.
Yeah, I mean, Pueblo means town in Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't we try another one? What about?
I think I'm very happy with that guess. If we can get 8 across, then that would let us know if it is the second letter of U.
Okay, so what is 8 across?
So 8 across is nose or chin, say. 7 letters.
Well, you did say it. You don't need to say.
So I think I can hazard a guess at this one because we have the third letter of A and it's a feature.
I think you're right.
So that implies your Pueblo is correct.
The use certainly works. Okay.
Yeah. Good work.
Okay, well, wait. Let's really confirm it.
Okay.
6 down is dummy. Space F, 3 spaces, and then a Y. That's 6 letters for dummy.
This is 4 down.
4 down, yeah. So, I mean, it could be the Guy Fawkes kind of dummy.
Yeah. Effigy.
Yeah.
Aha! Thank you for that pointer.
Yeah, because I was also thinking a dummy way
yeah.
what a kid
good.
suckles aimlessly or a baby rather.
I should flag we have just over 10 minutes left.
Okay, now we got to get moving. Okay, so take us somewhere. Let's keep moving.
Okay, I'm going to take us to 9 across, which is scribble-flee, and it's 4-3.
Okay.
So I think it's something off.
Yeah, because the last letter for everyone is an F of the 3-letter word at the end. So it's something off.
Yeah, we have an F at the end.
Flee.
I mean, scribble implies draw off. Can you draw off?
But to draw off is like to draw something off, like a predator or something.
Yeah, that's... Because you would say run off, wouldn't you, if you were fleeing?
Yeah.
But... Okay, let's just pen it for now.
Yeah.
Let's heavy pen.
Okay.
Where do you want to go next?
Oh, I don't know. We could try 1 down, which is evade.
Third letter of D. So it's 5 letters.
If it's draw off, technically, yeah, it would be.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, we don't know that.
Evade. Because it could be elude, but then it would be U space off.
Elude is a good thought. And can we come up with something for scribble?
Under U?
No. Oh, take off. Does that work?
That works. Yeah, take off. Would that be scribble? To flee, definitely.
You can take something off, can't you? Like, I'm gonna take up. Does that mean scribble?
I don't know.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah, we got to move on this.
We've got to move. We've got to get to 9 all. There's a lot riding on this.
8 all.
8 all, sorry.
Okay, well, let's finish this right side. Hamper, if effigy is right. Effigy has 2 Fs, right?
Yes.
Okay. It would be I space H and then 4 spaces for hamper.
Inhibit.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was just staring at that. Okay, so Pueblo is definitely right because the B's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I was staring at that and I was like, what is I space H? I was like, okay, well, it's got to be an S or a T or a C, but of course, no. Nice one. Okay, sacristy.
6 letters, and it's the second letter E, 4th letter T.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, right.
It's because it's churchy. It's the vestry.
Vestry. Well done, of course.
Yes, I remember that from my time.
Should have got that.
From my time in the seminary.
We have an anagram at 1 across, which we do have 1 letter of.
Okay.
So I think we should dive into that because that will open up a couple of others. So the clue is lace bed.
Okay.
Separate words, lace bed, and it's an anagram with a final letter of E.
Because it could end with able, like ABLE.
Yes.
And that would leave D, C, and E, I guess.
Debacle.
Oh, even better. It's not able. Well done, Theo. Debacle. This is your crossword today.
I'm not sure about that.
Well, I believe.
I never would have got Pueblo. Okay, now we have this grilled. We've got a first letter of C.
C space O space space space. And then we've got an 8-letter word, E space A space I space E space. I'm still not getting this. Grilled. I mean, grilled could also be like to be questioned.
Oh, I've got it.
What?
Cross-examined.
Yes. We were thinking in the amazing.
Yes.
Okay, this is huge.
Now this is what to play for.
Yeah, they really
just over
is.
5 minutes left.
Okay, we have to start moving. So evade, D space T space space. Evade.
Because deter doesn't really mean
no,
that,
and that's what keeps coming into my head as well. Well, what about squares?
Ditch.
Oh, that could work.
As in you ditch somebody, you evade. It doesn't really mean that, does it?
No, but it's not bad. Let's keep it in the back of our mind.
Okay.
What about batter? B space K space space.
Batter. Gosh.
Okay, so that could be to batter something in, breadcrumbs. It could be
I don't think. Remember, takeoff could be wrong.
It could.
So
be
let's
wrong.
not fixate on the K.
Yeah.
Let's not fixate on the K.
You're right. Batter.
In fact, I'm going to clear that from
I'm going to do that too.
my board because I think.
Oh, bread.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so takeoff is wrong.
Also, that means evade could be. I mean, that could be something very different.
Well, it starts with D now, so it's So, evade. Dodge.
Dodge.
Okay, so we got to move fast now. Scribble, flee, D space, E space. Oh, D space, E space, and then off.
Dread off. Died off. Died off? No. It doesn't. It may not even be off. It's got to be off, hasn't it?
I think so. It has to be. Scribble. Like, what do they say that when you're writing a story or something, you're on the train and you just quickly, something off. There's a word for that when you...
Dash off.
It is dash off, eh? Then it's not bread.
No.
I think it's dash off, dude. Because dash off is to flee, and it is. So I think...
Dash off. So batter's not bread.
Batter's not bread, not bread.
Right, clear that.
Okay.
Okay.
Batter.
Based. Possibly.
Oh. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like it. So BASTE.
Yeah.
And then squares, E space S. Evens.
Oh, yes.
Okay, active forbidding, V space O, I think is veto.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so we're back here again,
now it comes down
kids.
to a final. So we've got 2.5 minutes to get sly. 5 letters. L-E-Y.
Yep.
Okay, let's just try everything.
This always happens.
So our guess, if we come up with nothing, is leery.
I think so. Leery.
Does sound right, doesn't it?
It does.
You're sly, you're leery.
Yeah.
I think that's right. I mean, the only thing stopping me with that is that the verb to leer definitely means to be...
To ogle?
To ogle, yeah. I was going to say perverted, but that's possibly a bit strong. But yeah, leery. Can we think of anything else that could go?
Because when you're leery of something or someone, you're wary of them. And you're probably wary of them because they're a little sly. But let's not groupthink our way into...
Let's not groupthink.
Let's take a minute each on our own cushion.
Yeah. Let's go into breakout groups.
Let's go to breakout groups.
As they say in the corporate sphere. And see if we can come up with any other options.
Yeah, let's see if we can workshop this one together. Sly.
Let's blue sky think our way to some good KPIs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's all resting on that, isn't it? Because I think we're pretty confident. The spelling of Gorbachev, I think, has to be right because
I think it's right.
There's other things fit, and yeah.
No, this is it. This is
our only...
Okay, so look, it has to. It's L space E space Y. The reality is there are very few letters that could fit between that L and that E.
Yeah, it's got to be a vowel.
If it was Welsh, we could have 2 L's, but I don't think it is.
It's got to be a vowel, and a double E. It's got to be a double E, because
because what else would it be? It can't be AE. It can't be. Although we had our estival, but it can't be. I mean, it could be IE, but again, I don't think so.
And there just isn't another consonant that you could put there.
Time check before we...
20 seconds.
Okay, so
we may as well use it. Just
Well, we have it in, so when it goes off, we've got it in. Anything else?
And less we need to remind people, this is to get us back to level pegging, which did not look likely several weeks ago.
We actually, privately, outside of the crossword, wrote off that possibility and accepted that we would just give up. And we've just talked away the last bit of our time.
Time is gone. So it's leery bust.
Let's not check. Let us look up leery.
Yeah, go on.
And let us look at definitions of leery. So I'm going to consult the internet. I use DuckDuckGo for my things because I'm very cautious of my privacy.
Right. Good for you.
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo. Is it basically Google without all the...
Yeah, it's Google without all the cookies.
yeah.
Basically.
Interesting.
Now, I mean, I think they still have sponsored ads and stuff, but I just don't think they harvest as much of your data. So this is problem. Oh, no. Okay. Well, okay. So let us look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
Yeah.
Just because that's what came up.
Sure.
On DuckDuckGo today. Okay, so leery is suspicious or wary, often used with leery of strangers, but it's not. Sly is the act of being a suspicious person, not to be suspicious of.
So they are connected.
They are connected for sure. First known use in 1718 in the meaning defined above. There you go.
Right.
So suspicious, sense to, wary, leery of strangers. So it is what I thought it was, like wary, less commonly Leary.
Okay. Thank you, Dictionary Corner.
But this is not telling us we got it. This is telling us we didn't get it.
I think it's telling us we have a chance.
You're right.
Let's just do it. Okay, I'm going to click check this, and if this is right, I'm pretty confident we're home and dry.
Okay, I'm not going to click check this because I can't bring myself. I don't have the intestinal fortitude.
It's correct.
Ah!
Woo-hoo! We can... Actually, no, we're not going to high five yet.
Oh.
We've got to check the rest of it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We've got to check the rest of it. Now, this is big, people. And we're hard on ourselves because we have to not only get all the clues right, we have to get all the spellings right.
So for instance, is it Gorbachev, the way Americans pronounce it?
This is...
It's not just Americans. I think Canadians, we all have a go at a Gorbachev. I'm not going to...
So I normally do check all, and then that will tell you if any letters are wrong. You ready?
Yes.
It's all correct! High fives! Yes!
Oh my God, okay.
What a moment! What a moment. I have to say, I did not have faith that we would get it done this week. I was, in those early exchanges, I was thinking, no. We're lost.
Yeah, the top left, I didn't think we'd get it. And it was actually the moment we got it was when we got dash off. Yeah. And we abandoned bread. I think if there's anything we've learned these last 16 episodes, it's a bit of flexibility and being able to recognize that the light penning may be wrong.
Yeah.
And not to get too fixed on them.
Yeah.
Because that's what's messed us up in the early going, I think.
Well, Takeoff was a good example of that. We got fairly entrenched in that. And also, what was it? There was another one. I can't remember now. But yeah, it's too easy to succumb to the sort of ego trip of assuming you've been right. And the important lesson of crosswording is question everything.
Yeah.
But Pueblo, that is get of the day. It just is, Rob. That was absolutely inspired. And once again, your linguistic knowledge has dug us out of a hole. I even with all the letters available to get in that clue, I don't think I would have got it. So top marks.
Yeah, that was a lucky one. I don't know how exactly that came together, but it had to be Spanish because of sun-dried bricks. I mean, sun-dried bricks, you think New Mexico.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so I was thinking Adobe, and then anyway.
Well, can I take this opportunity in person to say, Rob, what a pleasure doing this podcast has been.
It has
continues to be.
It has been and does continue to be right through today's stirring victory.
And considering we have left this now on a cliffhanger where we are tied at 8-all.
Oh, man.
We, I think, have to record another one in person while we can to see if we can tip ourselves into the lead. I think possibly for the first time.
Maybe I think so.
Early on we did, but...
We may have gotten the first one, and I think that's what led us into a false sense of security that this would be easy, almost too easy, and it wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And so nice as well not to have any of the sort of usual internet problems or slight delays or just, it's just nice to breathe the same air and
it is
talk across, as you say, well, you very generously described it as an Ottoman. I think a footstool might be more accurate.
It's not a footstool an Ottoman? I mean, is an Ottoman... Does Ottoman have more tassels?
It's a good question. You see, I associate Ottoman with that sort of Ottoman Empire chic, which may have some more sort of ornate features to it. But either way, it's just, it's nice and crucially sound absorbing.
Yes, yes.
This is where I always record our podcasts. So it's kind of strange actually to have you on the other side of it, but
to co-inhabit. And for me to step through the screen and enter into the other world.
I've got one question for you, Rob. Well, I've got 2 points of business. The first is that we often do a recommendation on the show, and that can be for anything, for a book, a film, a podcast, or whatever. So we should do one of those. But the second is, I had to go into the room where you're sleeping earlier to get the microphones, and I couldn't help but notice you're reading a collection of Norwegian folk tales, which I picked it up and immediately I just thought, this is so Rob.
Yeah.
I love that you're reading it. So tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so I do have a book recommendation that I'll get into, because I'm not actually reading the Norwegian folktales right now, though I did start yesterday on the tube.
Okay.
So the story of the Norwegian folktales is very simple. I got that maybe a year or two ago because books are a lot cheaper in the UK. And you can get used books very cheap here because it is a much more, well, it's a smaller place, so there's just more people over a small area, so it's easier to find used things. And I think the British read more than Canadians do. And they certainly buy secondhand books more. And so whenever I'm over here, I bought a lot of books. And I ordered that on one of my trips maybe a year or so ago and had it delivered to a friend's, and it arrived after I'd left. And I was getting it to read. I was interested in it. I'd read about it, I don't know where, maybe in my reading of Karl Ove Knausgaard, who I have a giant literary man crush on. But it's basically a collection of, from the 19th century, of Asbjorn and Moe's, I cannot pronounce what it is in Norwegian, but it was their answer to the Grimm fairy tales. They were chroniclers.
There you go.
And so they went down the fjords and the valleys and up on the hills and met country folk and gathered their folk tales. And so it's a lot of stories of trolls and spinning wheels and golden geese and the classic stuff you'd expect in folk tales.
I noticed it had a foreword by Neil Gaiman as well, which is actually, I mean, that makes perfect sense given the material. But that's good to know.
Well, I wanted to read it to my kids.
Well,
I like the idea of sharing old folklore and old things with the kids. So they love the Greek. We were talking about Percy Jackson before the record, and both our kids read it. They really love the old myths. And so I thought maybe like read them some Norwegian myths would be kind of like populate their brain with something that might stir something one day, you know?
It's an interesting thing being a parent, that you feel a real responsibility to give your kids just an awareness of the sort of what I'd describe as the staple stories.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you know, they are going to, references to these stories are going to come up in things they watch or books they read or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And you just feel that sense of responsibility to give them that grounding. And actually, we have a copy of the Grimm Tales up there on the shelf. And I haven't done it as bedtime stories because it's pretty dark. And actually, a lot of them are very obscure and weird and don't really hang together as stories. They're more sort of little snippets of moralizing usually. But the other day, my daughter did say, "Oh, could I look at that?" You know, and I was thrilled. I thought, brilliant. Read as much as you can because so much of our culture pivots around these stories. So I think it's brilliant that you're reading Norwegian tales, because too often we get too sort of stuck in our own traditions and don't.
Yeah. Well, what's given to us, right?
Yeah.
You know, like what's easily available. So here's a question for you.
Go on.
And what is not as freely and easily given to us in this day and age as it was maybe when we were kids. Extending your thing of exposing kids to stories and narratives that are very foundational in your culture. How do you feel about the Bible?
That is a brilliant question. And actually, it's funny you say that, because over Easter, we did attend a church service. Both my kids have been baptized. I grew up very much in the Anglican tradition. All my major milestones, or many of them, have been marked in churches. So I would describe myself as culturally Christian, not religiously so. I don't have belief myself. But it was a hugely important thing to me as a kid. And I think there is good stuff in there. The parables particularly have lots of good learnings in them. And I have nothing against children being exposed to those, and actually think it's important they are. I think, again, it all ties into this idea of what your culture is built upon. And that is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I think, some people would maybe call it a slightly sort of weak fence-sitting position, which it probably is in a way. But I am a kind of church-going atheist, and I think that's an acceptable position.
Yeah.
You know, you can take it on board culturally without having to take it on board religiously. And as with everything, it's important to know what you're rejecting. I don't think when it comes to belief, it's fair to instill either extreme in a child.
Yeah.
I think what is important is to give them an awareness of the positions, an awareness of what it is they're taking a decision over, and allow them to come to that decision as best you can. That's always very difficult to do. But anyway, what's your take on it?
Well, I don't know that I have one, but I was shocked the other day when we were referencing something religious, maybe around Christmas or something, and my wife went to church as a kid. I went to church as a kid. My parents weren't actually religious, but they sent us to church, I think, to get us out of the house on Sunday morning, because they actually didn't attend. They just sent us there. And we sang in the choirs and went to Sunday school and all that. And so I've had a lot of church experience. I was in choirs. Like I know that stuff up and down. I even actually did a Bible course in university. I was very curious about just that. Again, for the same reason I'm curious about the folk tales of Asbjorn and Mo, because as you said, they're so deep in our culture. It's good to have a grounding them and to understand them. But then we were talking about something religious around Christmas or Easter, and our kids had no clue. And then we both realized, holy, we've never exposed them to anything biblical. And it's not intentional. It's not that we said, our children shall not have these lives. It's just, neither of us wanted to go to church on Sundays. Neither of us felt like dragging our kids. Our kids aren't baptized. We had a brief discussion about it when they were young, because my mother-in-law was more religious at the time. She's since sort of maybe a little less. So it didn't feel urgent. And so we didn't do anything. And all of a sudden, my kids don't know anything. And I thought, well, can you live in this culture and not know something about the Bible? I mean, fine, our cultures are becoming increasingly multicultural. And for instance, when my kid was at school here, but also in Montreal, they've been learning comparative religions and ethics and things like that. So they are learning about the Quran, they're learning about Hinduism and stuff. But then there's part of me that's like, well, should they get an extra special learning on what is the product of their culture, you know, the Bible? And I don't have an answer for that. I'm torn on that question. But there is a part of me, certainly instinctually, that feels that they should have that foundationally the way I did. And maybe it's just because I did.
Well, yeah, and that's where it gets difficult, because you can only judge it through your own experience. And I describe myself as an atheist in that I sort of reject theism.
Yeah.
You know, rather than I reject the possibility of any. I think that would be foolish to reject any possibility of the unknown meaning behind the universe's existence. But when it comes to sort of the figure of God, I think it was actually studying arguments for the existence of God at school as part of my religious A-level, which was taught by a teacher of very strong religious faith. It was only really studying the arguments that made me really begin to question them very strongly. And I don't think exposure to it necessarily begets faith. I think it just begets knowledge, and that can only be a good thing. But we are at a sort of unique point in our history, aren't we, where we're sort of moving from a heavily religious world to a secular one, and we still...
In some parts of the world.
In some parts of the world, that's very true. I shouldn't say world, I should maybe say country, because I can only speak for living in the UK, but it doesn't feel as embedded in our society as once it was, which I think is a good thing. I think secularity is to be embraced. And I think a lot of these questions remain questions.
Yeah.
We just don't know. And perhaps our kids one day, if they become parents themselves, will take a different view. And feel that they weren't exposed enough, or they were exposed too much. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
You can only judge it on your experience, as I say. Anywho, Rob.
So what is your recommendation of the week?
My recommendation of the week is actually a play that I saw last night and reviewed. So you can read my review online if you are so minded. And it actually ties somewhat to this discussion, because it is about the process of becoming a parent, the play, and it's called The Chord at the Bush Theatre by a playwright called Bijan Shaybani, who has sort of recently hit the big time because he wrote episodes for One Day on Netflix, and he I think writes really well. I'm trying to talk about this with Zeus resuming his snortings in the background. But anyway, it's really good. And actually, I love plays or films, as I've previously said, that go deep into character and deep into the detail of character. And this does that very well, I think. And it looks at a couple who've just had a baby and the resultant stresses that puts on their relationship. But it does it in a very understandable and relatable way. So the arguments they have feel like arguments so many of us have. And the conclusion is not too gloomy. It's actually quite optimistic. It doesn't go to a particular extreme. There is no Chekhov's gun, if you will. So it doesn't sort of all end in tears. I just thought it was a really interesting meditation on what it is to become a parent. So anyway, that is my recommendation of the week.
Interesting.
And yeah, we'll no doubt have a few more when next we chat, which won't be too long away.
No, and I'll save one back for that next one, because I think I have what I actually am reading now, but we'll save that for our next chat, because I do have one that harkens back to some discussions we had in episode 14, but I think we're up to, a reasonable length of time for our listeners, who no doubt have to get to important matters in their lives.
Sure.
There are emails to be written.
There are breakout sessions to attend.
Exactly. There's brainstorming to be done.
So go forth and do that. We will see you next time.
Yes, absolutely. And we will see each other next weekend, starting tomorrow, to throw some discs, not at trees, but likely hit trees more than we hit anything else.
No doubt. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Two Across, the podcast where two friends generally sitting on the opposite sides of the Atlantic get together and discuss a crossword. This original podcast has been produced, written, thought, conceived, and then mimed and acted out by Theo and Rob Cole. We greatly appreciate our listeners. We would love to hear from you. We have a X/Twitter handle at 2acrosspod. That's all spelled out, at 2acrosspod. If you have any feedback on the show, we'd love to hear it. Otherwise, if you are the type of person that loves to give reviews, because we're not solicited to do that often, and if you're looking for an occasion, we would love you to review us. You can do so on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until next time, stay fit and have fun.